Hey, folks, on today's show, of course, we're going to talk about the Nashville school shooting and the updates that we have to date on that. Jim's got an update on the reparations. We've been talking about that last couple shows. He's got an update for us all to listen to. I'm very interested in hearing that because it goes in a little bit more detail, I think. Folks, that we got so much to talk about. A lot's going on what, Jim?
Two guys, one coup.
Yeah. See you in a minute.
Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
I'm just
What
tired.
was that all
I'm
about?
just tired. I'm just tired. Two guys, one coup, seeking producer. Right? Is that what
Yes.
we're talking about? Yeah.
And it's not a joke anymore.
It's not a joke anymore.
We are seeking producers. So.
Yep. And the pay rate is it's tops in the industry. So if interested, if interested, please get a hold of us. Anybody who can edit videos and upload them. And when something goes wrong, knows what the hell is happening.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. We are not those guys.
Yeah.
So
you've done a great job.
I've done the job I can. I've gone as far as I can.
You're not IT. I completely agree.
Yeah. I've gone as far as I can. And frankly, I don't want to learn anymore. It's involved, thank God, to be honest with you, that there's videos on a lot of this stuff, because if it involved reading, Jim, I think we know if I had to read instructions. Where's Jim going? Everybody, Jim's leaving.
My dog got a hold of something, so sorry.
My God.
Sorry.
Oh, that dog's like 13 now. How old is this dog?
Not even a year yet.
Oh, okay. Feels like 13. So, anyways, that's what's going on. We have a lot to get through on today's show. I hope everybody enjoyed Representative Walter Hudson and the interview last episode. If you haven't heard it, please go back. Kind of skip through, the part where I introduced him because it was terrible. I apologize. It was terrible. It was. I re-listened to it. I did all that, and I literally, Jim, here's the simple fact. I don't mind telling everybody. So we have these pages, right? And they're just scattered all over the place. And right now they're organized for me. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going to look at. I had 3 pages of introduction, highlights, things to go over, and clearly labeled. Page 1, page 2, page 3. When he came on and we started talking and I go to introduce him, all of a sudden I'm on page 2. I'm like, where's page 1? I look, the next page is page 3. So the bottom page is clearly got to be page 1, right? No page 1. So everything I said was based on like memory. I'm looking down. I'm like, it's not there. It's not there. Welcome to Two Guys, One Coup. The shit show it is. So,
it happens.
It happens. Yes, it happens. I know. Jim, obviously, after we were done, after the day of our recording, so earlier in that day, but we already had a show plan. We only do 2 a week. Everybody knows that, Tuesdays and Thursday. There was this school shooting, which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
Second half of the show here, and get into some of the terrible details on that, and even more so how the mainstream media has reacted to it, and how the transgender community's reacted to it, and everything else that goes along with it. It's just really a horrible situation that happened there. Really, really just horrible. But first, there's a couple things we want to talk about. I think, Jim, you have something you want to talk about involving, what's your name? it's a View. It's one of the wildebeests from The View, right? Isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Our favorite Sunny Hostin, whatever, however you
Yeah, I
pronounce
don't know
it.
how you say it either.
She's just gone. I'm going to read to you what she said, and then we'll just kind of go from there and let our listeners judge for themselves. But this is where we were at in society with the way the liberal people are viewing things, okay?
Yeah, okay.
She basically said, she compared the jailing of black criminals in the United States to being worse than what China is doing to the, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps.
What?
Yeah.
What do you...
There was a discussion about, and where they started getting into it on The View, they started talking about American patriotism, American love for the country is down.
Them?
Right?
Oh, yeah. It's down. I wonder why it's down.
Yeah, for people like them.
Yeah.
Right. So there was different people saying things, but Sunny Hostin, she compared China holding the Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps to the U.S. jailing black people. Of course, the U.S. jails people of all color.
Yeah.
Okay, we do. We don't just specifically. Okay,
correct.
now if you talk to some people, that we don't. White people don't get arrested.
Yeah.
Now
There's
if they commit
in jail.
But what China is doing to the Muslims in internment camps for the simple reason of they were just being Uyghur. I think
I don't know if it's Uyghur or Uyghur or
it's Uyghur.
Yeah,
Muslims. So
yes.
Uyghur Muslim or Uyghur Muslims, whatever. The point of the matter is they're in concentration, being put in concentration camps.
Just because they're that Muslim group,
right? And so she talked about this, and then
which let's go back. So that sounds, obviously that's familiar to Nazis putting Jews in concentration camps just because they were Jewish, right? Mm-hmm. And so in essence, that was comparable to how the U.S. jails blacks, Yeah.
Well, she was responding to Farrah Griffin, who, if anybody knows, I think there's only 5 or 6 people that watch The View.
I think so.
But if they know that she is the token Republican that's on the show.
Wow.
But, and the reason why she turned to her and said, this is exactly what she said. I don't see that part of American socialism. I'm sorry. I think this country has a lot of problems. They could be solved. Yes, maybe they are putting Muslims in jail in China. She began turning to co-host Alyssa Farrah Griffin. They're putting a lot more black people in jail here. So Farrah Griffin, which she was talking about, she was slamming China.
Mm-hmm.
We are not that country. You still have, she said you can still be successful in this country, and she pointed to them sitting at the table.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even Joe Behar admitted that.
Yeah.
That we're sitting at this table. There is some success that you can be gained in America.
A lot of success, by the way. Yeah.
But then, of course, they say the but, right? I mean, we all know that whenever you say but, anything before it, just ignore it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Negate it.
So anyway, she referred to us jailing black people to the internment camps, and I guarantee you, even though jails and prisons are not meant to be hotels, which they shouldn't be because you're being punished, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I think the internment camps, concentration camps that they're putting these Muslims in,
probably a little worse.
Is a lot worse than a prison.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just saying.
Yep. They're probably not getting 3 squares a day. They're probably not getting, Mm-hmm.
And guess what?
Yeah.
China's not going to change. No. You can say everything you want. You can sit there and try and put pressure on them.
Yep. They don't care.
They're not going to change.
No, they're never. And here's the other thing.
Oh, and try passing transgenderism down there.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Any luck there. And here's the other thing. Are the blacks, whites, Asians, Mexicans, are any of those people, but let's specifically talk about the blacks because that's what
she brought it up.
Brings it up. Are any of those, are they committing crimes or are they just being put in prison because they're black? I'm just wondering. Oh,
doesn't matter.
Okay. So regardless.
No, in my opinion, it doesn't matter.
To them.
Yeah.
To her. In her statement, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, you have the Iger, or I think it's Iger is how it's pronounced.
Okay,
but
it's
maybe
fine.
not. I could be wrong. And
I should have looked it up.
I could be wrong, and a couple of new fans we have on YouTube will certainly correct me on it. I don't know if you've seen, but I'll go into that a little bit. We're on YouTube for 2 episodes, and we got 2 buffoons on there. Just we're traitors. That's. Those are comments.
Traitors to what?
Yeah, that's it. We're terrorists and domestic terrorists, you and I. So, anyways, gotta love them. 2 episodes. We've been off YouTube because I don't even know how I'm back on. To be honest with you, slipped through the cracks. We won't be long. But these 2 buffoons are, especially 2 different people.
They turn us in. So
yeah, especially when they turn us in. So, anyways, where was I going at? Oh, they're being imprisoned just because of the religion. Basically, right? Muslims of religion.
Yeah, and they don't get a trial.
It's Muslim or religion or race. How stupid!
But they don't get a trial.
They don't get a trial. It doesn't matter. They've committed no crime.
Right. And a lot of black people are being sent to jail by juries with black people on the jury.
And impossible. It can't be. There's no single black person who's ever been incarcerated in this country who had any black person on their jury. It's just impossible.
Well, maybe in the 70s, maybe in the 70s in the South. Okay. Okay. I get it. It happened then. I know. We know. It's 2023 people.
Right. We are not just willy-nilly taking black people off the street and throwing them in jail without representation or a crime being committed or any of that. They have lawyers.
That's what the left wants us to believe.
Yes, they say this nonsense, and they say this nonsense, and how do they have jobs, Jim? How people are being, and let's get into this then. So, for instance, conservatives, all of a sudden, our good friend Elon Musk maybe doesn't have the control or something over at Twitter that we once thought or had hoped he would have had. Because after, and we'll get into this story, obviously, the second half of the show, but the school shooting in Nashville, a couple of conservatives tweeted about an event that was going on. One of them is Marjorie Taylor Greene. We know the congresswoman out of Georgia. She had her Twitter suspended for 7 days for information on an upcoming Trans Day of Vengeance event that she tweeted about after the shooting occurred. 7 days, and really the tweet said this. Oh, so here, Twitter on Tuesday restricted Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's congressional account for 7 days after she repeatedly posted an image of a poster about a rally called Trans Day of Vengeance. That sounds violent in a way, right? It's not Trans Day of Love. It's not Trans Day of Togetherness. It's not Trans Day of Acceptance. It's Trans Day of Vengeance, right? Green tweeted about the event after 3 children and 3 adults were killed in a shooting at a Christian school in Nashville. Important to note, Christian school in Nashville, too, for later on, and Jim will go into some of that. Police say that the suspect in that shooting, who was killed during the incident, identified as transgender. We know that. We know that by posts. We know that by everything that's going on. So this Trans Day of Vengeance seems like something the public would want to know about. And what this Trans Day of Vengeance is, right off of their website, by the way, which is now forever in my Google search history, is, so see, Jim, it may not be donkey love, but I have a lot of transgender stuff in my Google search history.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm reading verbatim from their website, okay? The trans, non-binary, gender, non-conforming, intersex communities are facing astronomical amounts of hate from the world. At least 100 gender-affirming care ban bills have been proposed. Of course, gender-affirming care, Go ahead. You jump in anytime you want.
For children. For minors.
Listen. That we know that, and that's going to be part of the point.
They are not trying to stop adults.
Nobody's trying to stop an adult from having
nobody's
transgender
trying
surgery. Nobody's doing it.
See, this is wording.
This is wording. This is what they do. This is on their website. Utah SB 16 has been passed, and West Virginia's HB 2007 is heading to the Senate. We just talked last show that HF 146 in Minnesota passed the House, and 99% odds it's going to pass the Senate, and that will make Minnesota a transgender state.
Right.
Well, this is combating that. You don't have to go to West Virginia or Utah. You go to Minnesota soon.
Exactly.
Our community is frightened, they say. I mean, to be honest, I was a little frightened when I saw Lee Finke. Just saying. We too are frightened. Are we not allowed to be? Some have been experiencing mental health crisis due to the political climate in our country. On January 31st, 2023, Donald Trump announced he will punish healthcare providers and promised that this madness will end. Yeah, I hope so. Children. Again, folks, minors. But that word's not in any of this. Continue. So far in 2023, 12 lives have been lost. 2022, we lost over 60 people. So they're talking about transgender. So 12 people. How many people got shot in Nashville? 6 by one transgender. Right. Our community has a stigma attached and significantly impacts marginalized communities at a higher intensity. There are members of our own communities that have turned against the true meaning of pride. So they're talking about some of the gay and lesbians who are against a lot of this transgender surgery for minors, and they don't like the way transgenders in general approach those that are not gay or bisexual or lesbian or transgender. They do it forcefully. You know, they are forcefully doing this. The trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming intersex communities have always existed. We're here, quote, we're here, we're queer, and we aren't going anywhere. Needs to be echoed loudly. Then why'd they need the T at the end? The G's already there. Why did they need to put the T then? If that's their mantra.
When did we want them to go away?
I've never even noticed this. I not until recently have they even been a factor in my life.
I'm only going to
as far as knowledge goes.
I'm going to try and say this one more time, but I know I'm going to say it on these shows from here on till the end of time. But I just want to make sure I am clear on this.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't agree with people who decide that they're no longer male, no longer female.
I don't hate them.
That's I do not hate them. I do not want harm to come to them. And if they want to, as an adult, change their sex by surgery or whatever they choose to, as long as they pay for it, that's up to them. That's between them and what they want to do. And I will always allow that, and I will fight for them to be able to do that.
Correct.
I disagree, but I will allow them to do that.
It's still their right.
I am arguing for minors.
Yep.
Because they are not, their minds are not developed enough to know.
Correct.
This is what they want.
Yep.
It's that most of the time they're being told this is what they want.
Yep.
It just irritates the hell out of me. And nobody is saying, and I am not sitting here, and I hope there's conservatives out there that they don't have to agree with the way people think. And this is where we think on how we are as conservatives. Okay. We think we're right.
Yeah.
That's just, but everybody thinks they're
Every
correct,
side
right?
think they're right. Yeah.
All right. But I will say that
excuse me, Jim.
I believe people should have the right to do within reason, right? Within law, within everything else. They should, if they want to do this, they can do this. As an adult, you can do what you want within the law, within reason.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
I don't want to pay for it. I should not have
either.
to pay for it. Just like abortions, I should not have to pay for abortions.
Yeah.
If you want to get an abortion, you do it yourself. I should not have to pay for it.
No, that's the same thing here.
But
I don't want to pay for it.
I do not condemn protections against transgender adults.
I don't either.
It's these harming children. That's the whole point.
It's bottom line, and that's what these transgender sanctuary bills are doing, both for and against. They're protecting children. They're harming children. Depending on where you go. I do have. You're right. I have no problem with transgenders. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care what they do.
Right.
My issue also involves with the minors. On top of that is the fact that they're taking advantage of the system, and they're doing it by moving prisons from male to female. They're doing it in sports and dominating those, which we know have talked about forever. It sets back the women's movement. There's no more women's movement. You forget about that. Right. That's not happening anymore.
And
right?
I have a quick story on that as far as athletics go. Because there's a disturbing trend going on. So.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll get into that right after this. Then that's fine. Anyways, this Transgender Day of Vengeance is a march to the Supreme Court in Washington. It happens March 31st. What is today's date?
28th.
We're recording, So
29th.
Yeah, 2 days, folks. So the day after you're hearing this show, they march to the Supreme Court in Washington, and it runs through like April 1st or 2nd, Oddly enough, on April Fools, they're going to be at Supreme Court. But little irony there, I think, I'm a woman. April Fools. I'm really a man. But anyways, so that's what's taking place. And that's what, and the fact that they call it a Trans Day of Vengeance, and they promote it on their site, and they're doing all that, is the reason the tweets were put out. Again, it's the wording. In here, they talk about all the trans bashing that's going on, but never mention the minors. They mention the bills that are going on, but never mention why the bills are in place.
Right.
It's selective language on their part. But don't you have selective language, young man? You'll be in trouble. Also, what happened real quick is Daily Wire's Michael Knowles. I think most people know him. He was banned from Twitter the same day, and it was because he posted a Bible verse.
Right.
And this Bible verse says this: "Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord." Why was it removed, Jim, from Twitter?
Bible verse.
Not just Bible verse. It was a violent Bible verse. So says Twitter.
What?
That's why it was. That's why he was banned. It was either remove it or get banned. Well, he's not going to remove. Michael Knowles isn't going to remove it. Screw them. So banning is what happened. Now you can post Trans Day of Vengeance and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
But you can't put vengeance is mine as a Bible verse and it be acceptable. That's the kind of bullshit we're dealing with here, folks. Still, Elon Musk has taken over Twitter. I feel this will be rectified on their part. I hope it will be rectified on his part. And if not, then we're in the same damn boat censoring conservatives as we always have and always will be, apparently. So, Jim, that's what I got on those real quick. I think you have. Is that it? Is that all we have?
Well, I have a quick story. It
has to do with sports, right? The transgender sports. Yeah, please. Sorry. Go ahead.
And this is concerning. Okay. So, and thank you to Larry for sending this to me.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Larry.
So, out of New York, a new study indicates a disturbing trend as testicular injuries in women's sports are increasing in an astounding rate.
I'm sorry.
No, it's because this is from the Babylon Bee. So if anybody knows the Babylon Bee,
God.
Researchers are baffled as these statistics have skyrocketed from literally zero reported testicular injuries among female athletes just a few years ago. This new wave of testicular injuries to female athletes has really come out of nowhere, said Dr. Ryan Kitchen from Boston College Institute of Sports Medicine. Years ago, there were absolutely no reported testicular injuries that occurred during women's sporting events. If only we could determine what led to this sudden rise. Such a puzzle. Institutions around the world have also noticed that disturbing trend and are pouring research dollars in discovering the cause, which is almost certainly a complicated issue with no easier, obviously, answers whatsoever. Critics have argued that it's not actually possible for a female athlete to suffer a testicular injury. Yeah, that can't happen, said Dr. Adam Kinnunen of the Restore Sanity, the sports research group. Considering the fact that having testicles in the first place means a person is not a female, it would stand to reason that such an injury is impossible. In layman terms, these are dudes. So
another tragic outcome of transgender sports is the amount of testicular injuries in female sports.
This last little thing. Trans activist groups have come out in full force against anyone who dares to suggest women cannot have their testicles injured because women can't have testicles. Said Sunshine Fluff Sprinkle, spokesperson for Insanity Now, which is a trans rights group in response to the findings. Blah, blah, that's what it is. Right? That's kind of, yeah. So basically, yes, this is making light of
course it is
of this, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. But just anyway, so folks, we wanted to add some levity before we get into the next couple of stories because we felt having that at the end probably would not be appropriate on the day. But thank you, Larry, for sending that. I think that is it is a disturbing trend.
It is it's an absolutely disturbing trend. And I think we found our 501c nonprofit is Stop Testicular Injuries in Women's Sports. You don't think I'm not going to do that? Imagine the funding we're going to get from the government on that one.
And real quick, this is what's funny. Our friends on YouTube refer to us as domestic terrorists.
Oh, they do. Yes. Yeah,
but I'll bet you the individual that killed those innocent people in a Christian school, they don't consider them domestic terrorists.
No, of course not. They're part of that crowd.
We want no violence.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
these people, 2 videos they cannot stop commenting on it.
It's the liberals.
they're obsessed, Jim.
It is the liberals. They think
well, they control the narrative. That's it.
They think their violence is okay and it's needed.
It's justified. And we'll get into that too as well. And that. But first, Jim, I think you want to. I'm not going to do skips this show. Let's just go right into it. You're gonna update us on reparations. Yeah. Totally interested in knowing that. So go on. Yeah, go ahead.
Mitch White, thank you for giving us the link.
Yep.
Listener, great listener.
He also, before we go on, Jim, sorry about that. I don't mean to interrupt, but he also asked us about what are the qualifications for. Were you going to mention that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It's okay. And also,
thanks for joining in.
I am actually looking into that because it is a public position, so we can see it. So I am looking into that because that is excellent.
That's an excellent question.
Point. Yeah.
Excellent point. Yeah. So the question was, what are the qualifications to be a school counselor?
Right.
Which I think we've known from other listeners, but for us to research it ourselves, we haven't dug into that.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that they're not qualified to do this is because I believe that, from what I do know about what counselors go through is they do have to go through psychology and stuff like that because it's for, whatever for children and stuff.
Yeah.
I doubt very highly the classes that they were going through had anything to do with transgender dysphoria or anything like that.
They probably do now.
Well, no, I would say that they would now, and that's one thing. But where do you stand on that? That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is if you've got an activist,
either way,
counselor,
either way,
right?
Because
you need this. This is a serious thing, and they need to be talked through. Mm-hmm. Okay, there needs anyway, but that's another issue.
But thank you, Mitch. But go on, Jim. You're going to also talk.
About this. But what I did do though, from what he gave us that link, and what I did find out, San Francisco has not given what their qualifications are going to be yet. They have not. Okay.
Of course.
So they just know that they've got the only thing that I've seen that it comes close to that is the California push towards reparations, which in the whole state of California, not just San Francisco, their initial start is proving that they're a family from slavery.
Yep.
That's now I don't know how some people are going to do that, but that's where some of this has went.
Oh,
but, what I wanted to bring up.
Do you think they're going to go to those DNA sites that, 23andMe kind of thing? And then,
but I still don't understand how you can do that.
Well, I'm just saying, does 23andMe get a kickback for saying, yes, you are a slave? Yeah. Here, give us our $100,000 per, proven. Well, I don't know. I don't trust anything anymore, Jim.
I don't either.
Go on. Yep. Go on.
But what I did find out during my research is that we do have Evanston, Illinois, passed reparation resolution in 2019. I did not know that this happened back then. I did not know
this either.
Now, this was created and started by reparations advocate Robin Sue Simmons.
Okay.
So we'll get into that in a little bit. Right. She was asked if she was doing an interview on CNN. She pushed for the reparations in Evanston, Illinois. And I'll get into the things there. Mm-hmm. But they asked her, the quick question is, what does she think about the $5 million in reparations that San Francisco's voted to do?
Yeah.
She doesn't know how this is going to be paid out. Which, again, that's but it's up to the municipalities. But reading in that article that Mitch sent us, I did see that they talked about not as much as slavery, right? They did reference slavery, but they talked about and here's what really bugged me, what the city government had done to the black people during the 70s and 80s and stuff. Okay. So that's what they say. So again, you're asking people to pay these reparations that had nothing to do with anything that was decided back in the government in 1970.
Yep. Nothing.
But they don't care about that. They only want, what they think is right to that. So now I'm going to get into a little bit more on her in just a minute. Okay. Because she has this not for profit.
Oh,
and I'm trying to do some digging on that, so we'll see. And I'll probably get put on a blacklist somewhere, and
I'm sure you will
killed and all that good stuff. So anyway,
that was racist. To call it a blacklist. Jim.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Anyway, but what she did and where she was at, she was an alderwoman who turned activist. Now she is pushing for reparations, and she started in Evanston, Illinois, which became the first city to award such restitution for black residents who qualify.
Isn't that weird? We never heard of this.
Yeah, it's strange. But here's what they did. Okay, those who qualified were awarded grants up to $25,000 for a down payment on a new home.
Okay,
home renovations or mortgage assistance. Okay. However, the Evanston City Council voted to approve a cash option on Monday.
Oh,
so
like
these were
like this recently.
These were grants that were supposed to be given. So Illinois approval of recreational marijuana, which went into effect in 2022, funded Evanston's reparations.
Wow, I believe it.
So it is one thing to identify a harm and prescribe a remedy, Simmons told the outlet which is CNN.
Yeah.
In the case of Evanston, we have been led to understand and appreciate that home rule taxes are our most viable way to fund reparations, being that they're within our purview. So again, you're asking people to pay for reparations that had nothing to do with any. But anyway, now Ramona Burton, who was one of the 14 people who received the reparation grant in Evanston, told Broadus, who was the CNN reporter, that she used the money for windows, her roof, and chimney on her home.
Nice.
Okay.
Good for her.
Now, what they did to find out how, I got it right up here. Boom.
Right up there.
In order for you to qualify, okay?
This is in Evanston.
In Evanston, Illinois.
Okay.
Adult residents, had to have lived in Evanston before 1969.
Okay.
When housing discrimination in various forms was at its height, the system prevented most African families from building up generational wealth.
Okay.
So they at least put a stipulation.
Yeah.
You had to have lived in Evanston since before 1969.
Yeah.
And that's what you got.
Yep.
So now and I'm not answering because I don't know what San Francisco's laws are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we already know that their payouts are
But how
ridiculous.
Many people have lived in Evanston in 10 years or less?
Lived in Evanston 10 years or less of their life, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, we know that if it's in fact the tax money for marijuana, the legal marijuana use, right? Man, couldn't that money go to the homeless? Could that money go to help support needy families? Could it help support mental care?
Well, I think what you'll probably find, or what they'll tell you, is that money does. This is a portion of that money, is what they'll say.
Right. So
and it might be true. I don't know.
Now, look, these laws that some of these cities had in these time periods where you, being of black descent, you could not own property. You could not do this. Okay, I get it. That was horrible.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
of course it was.
Guys, I don't think reparations the answer. I just don't think it is. Because you're asking people, just like the student loans we talked about, you're asking people to pay for something that they had nothing to do with. This was the government of Evanston that did that. This was the government of San Francisco that did it to the black people in their communities. So I don't know how you go about doing this. I don't, now we live in a modern society where descendants of them shouldn't have a problem buying a home, shouldn't have a problem doing right today. I mean, not just today. I'm saying what in the 2000s, 1990s. I mean, I'm not saying, because now some people are going to come out and say, I know there's racism. Okay,
it has nothing to do with. It's not a racism thing.
And guess what, folks? You're not going to be able to change it. No, you can't change hate, and that's on both sides.
Yep,
folks.
Correct.
That's on both sides of the spectrum. It's not just white people hating.
Can't
black
change
people,
hate regardless. Hating,
right? Because in some instances, I would consider this a reverse discrimination.
Yeah,
because you're asking white people who had nothing to do with it to pay for it.
Although in the Evanston one, and let me kind of devil's advocate this on the other side. If they're using the revenue from recreational marijuana use, that doesn't just come from white people. We're just saying then that only white people smoke marijuana.
Right.
I think Snoop Dogg proves that's not true.
No, and that's not what I was.
Yeah, I know
please
that.
Note, that's not what I was trying to say.
Okay.
All I was now Evanston, and I am going to give some credit here.
Yeah.
Evanston put some real
restrictions. Right.
Restrictions on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They put, this is what you have to do. And in a $25,000 grant to renovate your house, to get a home, to do whatever, this individual, one of 14, actually did that.
Yeah.
New windows, roof, chimney. Perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
They found the one. What was the other 13? Did they ask?
Well, exactly. But now you get a cash option now.
Mm-hmm.
So, now,
which
again,
would probably go towards recreational marijuana. It all comes full circle.
So $25,000 is a lot less than $5 million.
$5 million, and a salary for the rest of your life, and a home for $1. And what California is doing is it's impossible. They just won't be able. They can't do it.
And look, I can see that if these individuals lived there before 1969 and they were told you can't own a home.
Sure, discrimination. That's discrimination.
I think in some instances maybe okay. I want to be careful because we all have to be careful. The gun laws, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's some gun laws that they want to put out there. And the reason why we're so hesitant about gun laws is because liberals, you give them a little, they're going to take a bunch.
They're just going to take it all. Yeah,
right?
That's the whole thing.
So this is what worries me about the reparations.
Yep, I agree.
So now the last thing I'm going to say is she started what they call this First Repair. Is a not-for-profit group that helps reparations for communities and for Black people. I don't know a whole lot about First Repair. I came out and I looked at it. I researched it. They do not have any financials on their website, and they're not for profit, so maybe they don't have to. But you and I both know that we've gone through some not-for-profits that are trying to quote unquote help the Black communities, and they're helping themselves. I am not saying that's what this is going on with these groups, because there's another group, I can't remember the name of it, I got to go out and get it, but there's another group fighting for this in San Francisco. It's another group similar to this one.
Yeah.
And also California. So we have got to watch these not-for-profit groups, and any non-for-profit group. Okay, it doesn't have to be this or that. It's when you are going in defense of some people. Okay, you're a not-for-profit that's saying we're doing this, we're doing that. There's very caution, because we have pointed out in many cases, Black Lives Matter Global Network is not what it says.
Yeah.
Okay, they are. We've talked about it before. We've done that.
So much information.
I hope
on that. Yeah.
This First Repair is not one of those. So in other words, if somebody's being awarded $25,000 for reparations, I hope they're not getting 10-20%.
Yep, correct. I do too.
Now they have donations. They have people donating, and what they say is they're donating because these individuals go and they fight. They fight for the reparations in these communities. And I'm telling you, if it's legit, great, good for them.
Yep.
If they can get communities to do it, I just. I want to be careful not to get in the argument of reparations, who deserves it, who doesn't. Okay, I just know that there are generational Black people that they're not experiencing what their grandparents experienced. They're not what their great-grandparents, what great-great-grandparents. They're not experiencing that, even though they want to make you believe they are.
Yeah,
they're not.
Yeah.
Okay, and how we get that out there, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I don't either.
But I do know that reparations, I don't think, are the answer, because what you're going to do is you're going to cause. So now, are we going to have the OBGT community coming out and in the in the 50s and 60s and even prior? It was, you could not admit you were homosexual or you were banned. You were this.
Correct.
So are we going to have to pay them reparations?
Yeah, that's true. All
right.
It's the next. It's probably it seems like a natural progression. To have to pay them.
So when does it stop, guys?
When does it stop? When does it stop?
There have been mistakes made in this wonderful country. My patriotism will never die.
Yep.
I love this country. I believe anybody can be successful in this country if you do things the right way. And I know there's other people that don't do things the right way and they're successful, but I'm hoping that eventually over time it'll catch up to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do know that this country is great. This country is wonderful, and we have some problems.
Yeah,
we do.
That's it. We have problems that we learn from too.
You and I can do this show.
Yeah.
Go to some other nations and try and do this show.
Exactly.
So,
go to some other nations and do this show. Jim, do you want to talk? We got to talk about this Nashville school shooting, folks. I know everybody's kind of aware of it. We've talked a little bit about it at the top and. Everything that's going on. I refuse to talk about the shooter's name. Doesn't matter.
We don't want to give credit. That's why I didn't bring up the name either.
I'm going to play a couple of videos here. I can't recall if the name is mentioned in there, and I apologize if it is. But before I even get into the stories, I want to play the first video, which is really just off a little news break, but it shows the shooter actually shooting the school doors to get in. Just watch that real quick and we'll be right back.
Police in Nashville releasing this chilling surveillance video. showing the terrifying moments the shooter blasted their way into the small private Presbyterian school. The video also shows the armed person entering a church office and later stalking the halls with an AR-style weapon drawn. Police calling the attack on the Covenant School targeted.
We have a manifesto. We have a map drawn out of how this was all going to take place.
Okay, so you saw what happened there. The doors were locked. So those doors were locked. And the shooter was able to gain access by shooting through the glass doors and then literally just crawling right through them. And then obviously you saw the scenes of the shooter going, to different areas of the school. They said at the end there, the shooter had a manifesto. And I want to get into the manifesto part of it, and I will, but I also want to show another video, which many of you might have seen already or heard. I don't know, but the police body cam footage of the brave and the right way that these police officers should enter a situation like this.
Did not hesitate one bit. This one's about a minute and a half, maybe long. Watch that. We'll be right back to discuss it.
Let's go. I need 3. One more. Let's go. Metro Police. Open door. On me. We don't know where he is. Metro Police, open door. Bathroom, small bathroom. Clear. Next, let's go. Door, with me. Hold the door. Next. Yes. Open it, I got it. Bathroom. Let's go. Come out. Let's go. Just move right. Hover left. Take this with me. Take this. No, that's locked. Take this door. Take this door. Take it. I think it's upstairs. It sounds like it's upstairs. Go. Push an LPV up. Reloading. Move. Watch out. Stop moving! Get your hand away from the gun! Get your hand away from the gun! Secondary provide security! Hey, hold the air! Go.
So hats off to those officers. They took control and clearly stopped what could have been even a worse tragedy. Incredibly brave and did what they were taught to do and what they signed up for. And that's to enter a situation like this without hesitation, take control of it, coordinate everything. In watching that, and this is kind of what kind of got to me too, is there's a lot of levels in head school. There's a lot of doors. There's a lot of, each classroom has a door to go somewhere else. I mean, they have to look at all that and listen, for where perhaps the shooter is at that time. And at that point, they don't know how many shooter. They don't know if there's 3. They don't know if there's 2, 1, whatever. There's a lot of moving parts, and they coordinated that quite well. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, 14 minutes after the shooting, the shooter was then shot dead within 14 minutes.
Right.
That's a lot different than Parkland, isn't it?
Yep.
Where they hid the sheriffs, where they stopped people from going into school to try to stop the shooters. Anyways, still at that point, 6 lives tragically were taken. These names I am going to read.
Yes.
There's 61-year-old Michael Hill, 60-year-old Catherine Kuntz, and 61-year-old Cynthia Peak, all employees of the school. One's the administrator, one was a janitor. I'm not sure what the other one was, but even tragically, 3 9-year-old children. Evelyn, I want to say this right, Deke House, I believe is how you say her name, Haley Scruggs, and William Kinney, all 9 years old, 2 young girls, 1 young boy, lives taken by a mentally ill person, a person with deep-rooted mental health issues. This person happens to be transgender. Still mentally ill, transgender, not transgender,
Doesn't
white,
matter.
black, Asian, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. You do something like this and you're mentally destroyed, in the head. This person wrote to their friend, the shooter, I say person, this animal wrote to their friend stating that they wanted to die that day, that something bad was going to happen. I mean, literally minutes later, the shooting happens, in the school. So they were looking to end their life. They were looking to create as much grief and damage as they possibly could, instead of just putting a bullet right to their own mentally ill head. And I don't advocate suicide. That's not what I'm, but instead of just doing that, they've got to go and make a statement and kill children and kill innocent adults. I'll never get it. I'll never understand it. But again, it wasn't a gun problem, right? There's 2 problems here for me. One's obviously the mental health issue, which we know. That's clearly the main issue. Mm-hmm. Another issue I have, and we've discussed this with many members of Moms for Liberty in the past, and including even January Littlejohn, is the fact that, not January, but Tiffany and Tina, we discussed school resource officers.
Right.
To my knowledge, there were none there, right? None there.
Well, this was a private school.
It was a private school. It doesn't, I don't care.
No. What I'm saying is a public school system in a public arena, this would not have qualified.
No, you're right.
They need to do their own. But
you're correct. Yeah.
School resource officers would prevent a lot of this.
Would prevent a lot of this from happening. This person shot through the front door.
Remember, there was another place they were going to go to as well.
Yep, there was.
But the reason why they chose not to go there, the security was better.
That's right. So imagine that, right? Yeah. So this happens. They choose that school. Turns out the shooter was a student of that school many, many years earlier. The school was also pinpointed, for one, because it was a Christian school.
Correct.
And basically, Christianity is opposite of transgenderism on the spectrum, I would think, right? They're north and south. They're polar opposites. They don't agree with each other. They don't.
Correct.
Christians do not believe in this. Transgenders think that Christians are the ones who are that hate them. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Either way, it was specifically pinpointed because of that reason.
Correct.
And went there to harm the children. Now, I'm not going into a lot of the story. We all know the story. We all know what happened and what went in there. Jim's got some things to add to it, which he will. But there's a third video I want to play. And it was shortly after the shooting. And the president of the United States was informed about it. And for those who haven't heard, because people don't watch the news or they're not paying attention or what have you, the president came down to is it the press room? I can't remember where it is there in the White House, but it wasn't Oval Office, but whatever. Basically where the president will come down and talk to other members of Congress and the press, and they're all there. And we've all seen those videos in the past, but came down there specifically to address the Nashville shooting. And Fox News was covering it like all the news channels were. And they broke in to get to the president who was going to make this speech. And this is what happened. Stay tuned. Watch that. We are definitely going to discuss this.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. God. Ben, how are you, pal? One of the best guys in the United States Congress, Ben Cardin. Folks, welcome to the White House. It's a delight to have you all here. And who are those good-looking kids back there? They're your kids, all four of them? Well, stand up, guys.
John, we'll jump back in here. Considering the moment,
we were told that the
shooting that just happened left 3 children dead, 3 adults dead, shooters dead, and we were told he would be addressing this off the top.
Yeah, it's rather surprising. I thought that a somber President Biden would have come to the podium here and addressed this school shooting.
That's the president of the United States, folks, right after a horrific tragedy like this, for which he was aware of. And it's the reason he came down.
And I went out and I looked at CNN.
Yep.
Nothing about that.
Nothing about it, right? Nothing about it.
Now, they did talk about that. The one thing that they did bring up that I was very surprised is they did reference the shooter as being trans. I was very surprised.
Well, I'm surprised too.
But
I mean,
they'd have that.
Even in the video I played on the news report, they're like the person.
Yeah. But
police released a video of the person entering it.
It took me a while to find it.
That person was wearing a MAGA hat. What do you think that person would be described as? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the president of the United States. Absolutely an out of touch. And I don't care about if he's got Alzheimer's, I don't care anymore.
He's been out of touch before.
Been out of touch before this. Yeah. Clearly out of touch with reality. What we saw there is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen from anybody in a situation like this. I don't even understand. I don't even know how they let this man. This is a travesty. I've never been more pissed when I watched that video, and I'm like sitting there like, this guy's an asshole. He's just a pure evil, ignorant, stupid. You put anything in there you want, asshole, and doesn't need to be running this country. Sorry for the language if I'm offending anybody who's listening to this. I cannot stand him anymore. We are 2 years into this, and this is the continuous bullshit we do. Now, let's add on top of that, what else did he say? Well, today, President Biden was called out, on Tuesday for making on Tuesday, for making another eyebrow-raising remark about the Nashville school shooting when he joked about the motive of the 28-year-old shooter who murdered 3 adults and 3 children at the Christian grade school Monday. Asked whether he agrees with the theory that Christians were specifically targeted in Monday's shooting rampage, Biden told reporters from the White House South Lawn, "I have no idea." When one reporter told the president that Senator Josh Hawley, Republican out of Missouri, believes that the shooting was in fact a hate crime against Christians, a smiling Biden then said, and I quote, "Well, I probably don't know then." "No, I'm joking," he added. "I have no idea." I can't take the son of a bitch anymore. I can't take the old son of a bitch anymore.
I can't take the liberal left anymore.
I can't either. I can't either. I cannot.
Guys, we were referred to as domestic terrorists on YouTube.
Yeah.
We don't wish harm on anybody. Honestly, I don't want violence. I don't want anything to that sort.
Yeah.
This is a domestic terrorist, not the trans group, but this is a domestic terrorist. And any
either way you look
person,
at it.
non-trans person or anything who thinks that this was okay.
Yeah.
Because I've got a couple things from the left that has been talked about on this show about the regards to this. And not only that, but there's another trans activist that very disturbing. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Guys, this isn't the way to do it.
Yeah.
And until the liberal left media lets people know that conservatives or people against this trans movement is against the children.
Yep.
What they're doing to minors.
Yep.
We are against that. I don't care what you do as an adult. I honestly don't care.
There's nothing you're going to do to you. There's nothing I'm going to do to you that you haven't already done to yourself. And what I feel is completely mutilating your body to correct whatever mental thing you're going through in life. That's just my belief. Don't care. A lot of people don't believe that, but that's what I believe. Go on.
These apologists that are out there, these they're all over the freaking place. That's what they wanted to make it to believe. For instance, the Don't Say Gay bill.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with saying gay.
Nothing, but that's the wording they put in there, and that's what installs these protests.
And that starts the hatred. So then if you continually sit there as an activist to say they want to take your lives from you, they want to make you to where you can't, crazy people are going to get crazier and they're going to act out.
Yep. I think, Jim, a couple days ago on that crappy, shitty show, The View, Jane Fonda, did she not say that there should be violence against Christians? And this is the rhetoric that they keep saying. This is what they want. And pay damn attention to who shows up at this transgender day of violence or vengeance, because I guarantee Antifa is going to be there.
Well,
in full force.
So let's go this route, right?
Okay.
They want to get. What is the January 6th? What's the main focus of January 6th? To say that Donald Trump orchestrated this.
Orchestrated the violence.
His hate, his anger caused this violence.
Correct. He installed the riots. He instigated the riots.
All these BLM riots, all these Antifa riots, all these politicians out there saying, all these black leaders out there saying, we got to do this. You got to get in their face. You got to ignore what they say and do all that stuff. They weren't responsible for that. So, for instance, all of these people coming out and saying all these wrong things about how we feel about transgender, anger's going to happen.
Yeah.
Are they going to be held accountable? Is Jane Fonda, who has never been held accountable for anything, is she going to be held accountable for that comment about attack against Christians? Because remember how we always talk about whenever you sit there and say something and then you follow it with however.
Yeah, I know. Or but.
Or though. Or okay. I'm going to read this. And guys, this man is Satan. Okay. He said, I don't condone. He listed the person's name.
Who is this?
I will not. Mike Wise. He's considered a left-wing sports writer, right?
Okay.
Responded in agreement to a Twitter user who said, I don't condone the actions of this individual. Though.
Okay, so forget about it. He condones it.
I understand they're outraged against an intolerant state that brainwashes children through religious indoctrination. The reality is human, still identified as that child attending that school and carried that pain into adulthood. So what this guy's doing, he's blaming the school
and Christians
for what she became. When there's a good chance it had nothing to do with how she became, who she came. We know a lot of people who are transitioning. We know a lot of people going through it who are not violent.
Yep, correct.
And they never will be violent.
Never will
they
be.
Want one of our friends that we talked to who is now an artist, right?
Yeah.
They call them drag artist.
Mm-hmm.
They are not this type.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
They don't want children taught either. But it does go into where this person says, well, I guess they didn't pray enough.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess they didn't pray enough.
Yeah.
So see, prayers don't always work.
Yeah. Yep. That's what,
Okay.
and that's exactly the message they want.
So now Ted Cruz, though, God bless him.
Yep.
The Covenant school shooting was horrific. For everyone who says thoughts and prayers aren't enough, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Ask why every single Dem voted against my bill doubling police officers in school.
Yep.
One armed officer would have stopped this lunatic before the child
we
was
just
killed.
talked about. Yep. Okay.
All right.
Good for him. Yep.
That is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay. So the money that we want to spend on climate change, the money that we want to spend on all of these useless things that don't get anywhere.
Yep.
Damn, wouldn't you love your taxpayer money to go towards that?
It should all go towards that, and we would pay higher taxes for that.
Honestly.
Now,
I am kind of curious. Locally,
yeah,
we have school resource officers in the middle school and high school.
Okay, yeah, you need them in elementary school. That's where they're going.
And so I seem to, which is why I wonder if that's why they're going there.
Well,
all right.
Yep, you're not wrong. Yep.
So we need to invest in that.
Yeah.
We need to have school resource officers.
There's so much money they piss away. Cities, communities, states, countries, right? There's so much money they piss away. How much money have we given to Ukraine? How much money have we given to Ukraine when we could be protecting these kids?
That probably would have paid for one SRO officer in every elementary school.
That would have paid for more than that, I would guess.
Well, I said at least.
So at $100,000 a year salary,
So look, this person, more is going to come out against this individual. Okay, more is going to come out, and again, we're going to talk about this. Is as with everyone else, there was things that had occurred that led people to believe, okay, something's going to happen here.
Oh, there were signs.
Right.
There
so
were signs.
Again,
but the FBI's not worried about that.
Well, see, here's the problem that we are taught today, right? Yeah. Because before, when we were in school, someone like this, they literally would have been taken away, talked to, going through therapy, figure out what's going on. But now we can't do that because now we got to hug them, right? We got to hug them tighter. We can't, we can't do this, we can't do that.
Or their anger that they express like that is just strictly, it's justified.
Right.
It's justified. We have to love and accept them. It's justified to the fact that you're right, Jim.
Nothing is justified. And so now what people are starting to talk about, here's this Moms Demand Action. Okay. This is a group that wants gun control. Okay.
Oh, good. Yeah. Because that makes sense.
If thoughts and prayers alone work to stop gun violence, there wouldn't have been a shooting at a Christian elementary school. It's your actions, including weakening the state's gun laws, that's killing kids in Tennessee. Shame on you. This was to the governor who did not instigate and implement any gun laws. So now they're blaming the governor because he did not instigate gun laws.
It's all Republicans' fault.
Because it's the guns that did it.
Yeah.
It's not the hatred that they have towards us.
Yep.
Okay. And towards people who don't believe the way that they believe. They have so much hatred, so much, because they're being told that we want them harmed. We want them shut. We want them put away in a cage, and we want them, which never once. Now, there may be some crazy people out there that say, yeah, these people need to be locked up. There's something wrong with them. Okay. But that's not what the majority of people are saying. But this is what their left leaders are telling them that we are saying. And it's driving me nuts.
The more they say that, though, Jim, the more that we're all going to be on the side of, y'all should be locked up, because you're crazy.
When you go out and you want to have children mutilate themselves, are you kidding me?
You need to be locked up.
Yeah. If you're going to stand behind, if you're an individual that believes that a child who is born within 24 hours can be aborted if the parent chooses to do that. There's something wrong with you.
Something wrong with you. You're mentally disturbed.
So, look, there's no answer here. Well, there is an answer, but there's never
answers.
The left isn't going to allow it. I'm
doesn't.
sorry. I know the left is never going to allow the answers to this.
No, it goes all the way back now to voting. It goes all the way back to your leadership and all that. And we've elected, rightfully or not, I don't care what you think, we've elected a president of this country that is absolutely, I believe now, physically the worst president I've ever seen in my lifetime and may have ever existed in our nation.
And we're talking some really bad presidents.
Some shitty presidents. And this guy is the shittiest. And I just can't stand him.
Just think about this. He comes down to talk about a shooting in a Christian elementary school.
Yep.
And he talks about ice cream.
He talks about ice cream, and then he talks about some guy that's there. He talks about, no, it's why I came down. Hi, I'm Joe Biden, Dr. Joe Biden's husband.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about kids in the back, right? Kids stand up in the back when kids have just been murdered. This guy is the worst. And listen, he's the worst. We cannot survive another 4 years with this kind of leadership.
Know not
him or someone like him. We cannot survive another 4 years.
I know not every liberal agrees.
I know
with what's going on in this country. I know that, and I
get that.
Okay,
I believe. I agree with that too. Not every.
We are at a time now where I want to call them the level-headed thinking Americans.
Yeah.
Need to stand up and put a stop to this. I mean, it's happening. I mean, as far as CNN's viewership's going down.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, they're going down. The View, how these women are still employed is beyond me.
Who's watching that shit?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But we are at a situation now where we have to start non-violently discussing these things with people who disagree with us to explain to them. And I know they're not going to, because the whole point of, and I have met some conservatives that get a little violent, or not violent, but loud. Okay.
Yeah.
Boisterous.
Well, of course
it's not a point of who can scream the loudest, guys. That should never be the case, because that's where in our opinion, that's where you lose an argument.
Yeah. It shouldn't be.
And now look, I've had situations where I've had discussions where I've lost my temper.
Yep.
I failed.
Yep.
I admit it. I failed. I screwed up. I let my emotions get the better of me, because you can't. You can't let your emotions you can be compassionate about something.
Yeah.
But you also have to understand you're talking to somebody who you're trying to make them understand that I don't want harm coming to any transgender person. None. I don't want that. I don't, just because I don't agree with their lifestyle. People don't agree with my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm overweight. Okay. So I have skinny people thinking, well, you're not healthy, so you're costing me more in healthcare.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's it's not just the way it thinks. Michelle Obama said it when she was talking about the school diet. All these fat people are really hurting because diabetes and all that stuff that they develop. And I get it; it is a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can't sit there and you can't pinpoint. Oh, that person. Mm-hmm. That's not how this is, guys. We have to understand where everybody is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We're only talking about minors when it comes to transgenders. I think it's crazy. Did you see the video of the drag show where she straddled
the girl in school? This was in a school, was it not?
Yeah.
Please
tell me you don't think this is normal.
Come on.
But it's
mentally disturbed.
And it's up to the parent, whether you think the parent can explain something to them, because I get it. You're going to have there's Christian parents out there that think you being gay is wrong and everything else. And I can't control what parents believe. I can't.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is we're all about parents telling, it bothers me when people sit there and say, well, parents should do this, parents should do that. Mm-hmm. And then when parents start doing that, oh no, that parents should stay out of it.
Yep.
You can't have it both ways. The left wants people to think this and that, and they're going to continue. So I'm sorry.
They think so too. No.
Another rant.
No, you're good. Just real briefly, do you have not if you could just quickly tell me like what it says on the T-shirt that was on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. What is that?
Yeah, it's
because we all saw it. I think I just want to.
There's this trans person who is a lump of Nicole is her tweet. thing at Lump of Nicole. She posted this shirt.
Yeah.
It's a sweatshirt, actually. It says trans rights, and it has a list of all different types of guns. And go figure, there's an AR on there.
Gee, imagine that. Yeah.
And it says trans rights, and then on the very bottom, or else.
Or else.
Now,
trans rights or else.
Here's my favorite thing. Here's what her comment was when people were going after her saying this. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what her response was. Dumbasses finding my pinned tweet and pretending like it's the reason my MFers get shot up so often in this country is effing funny.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Where could you buy that shirt too?
I don't know, but when I see a shirt that says trans rights with all these guns and then it says or else, I'm not thinking that's a very calm and passionate thing. That tells me that this is just the beginning.
Mm-hmm. It's just the beginning. We're going to see more and more of this. More and more of this. And by the way, that shirt could have been bought on Amazon.
Yes.
Amazon was selling them, and Amazon has pulled them down. But imagine if that shirt said MAGA or else with the guns listed on it. Yep. Just imagine.
It says trans advocate posts selfie wearing sweatshirt with guns and a shocking threat.
Yeah.
Is what
if you haven't seen it, the picture's out there and you can see it.
Yep.
Jim, before we end the show again, I'm going to read the names of those who lost their lives in this. It was Michael Hill, 61-year-old, Catherine Kuntz, 60-year-old, Cynthia Peak, 61-year-old, 9-year-old Evelyn Deekhouse, 9-year-old Haley Scruggs, and 9-year-old William Kinney. Those are the names you need to know. Those are the only names you need to know.
Put themselves and family and friends, people of Tennessee, in your prayers. Anyone who has gone through this.
Anyone. And it brings back memories of those. And we've met some people from Parkland. We've talked and heard them speak. It brings back memories, all memories. Those 6 people, those are the heroes. Those are the names you need to know.
Yeah.
The coward, the mentally disturbed coward. Who cares?
And I will say this, CNN.
Yeah.
In there, they put in, they talked about how quickly law enforcement got there, how they reacted, and they even had videos of the body cam footage. So commend them.
What I
we get on them a lot, right? We get on them a lot for not posting things they should, but in this case, they did right because guys, law enforcement did this one right.
But wait to see how far how quick this story goes.
That's why I got my shirt. Yeah.
Why? Wait and you see how quick this story just disappears.
Well, it's a Christian school.
It's a Christian school, transgender shooter.
Yep.
Not exactly the narrative the mainstream media wants you to believe when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, Jim, great show. Thank you so much for the research and everything. I do appreciate it. Hope you all kind of enjoyed it, learned something or whatever. But just there's violent people out there, folks, and you got to be careful. Just be careful.
And please understand, and I for those of you out there, I hope we're not getting redundant to the stories we do. We do stories like, for instance, the reparations. If someone's out there, the reason why we keep bringing this up, it's coming to vote in other cities. It's coming to vote in other states. It's correct. I mean, this is being pushed. There's these groups out there that are pushing these reparation bills.
Yeah, you need to know about it and stay informed and see if one's happening in your area. Evansville was a surprise to me. Who would have thought?
And not every one of them is going to be able to be paid with marijuana sales.
No.
Okay.
No.
We need to be vigilant. Transgender, again, we need to be vigilant. All this stuff came through our schools without us knowing about it because we weren't aware. Now we are aware.
We've woke up.
Moms for Liberty, groups like that have fought, that have found it, that is really pushing to, and it's not against gay people. It's not against any of the LGBTQ community unless you think it's okay to indoctrinate our children. Then we're against you. Not in a violent way. We're not violent. We don't call you guys to threaten your families.
Yeah, exactly.
But you call us and call us names and do all that. Now we call you idiots and stuff like that, but we're not wrong. So
we call you because we're right.
But when our friends on YouTube call us domestic terrorists, you're kind of wrong.
Yeah.
So,
love them.
anyway.
Love them. Anyways, Jim, thank you. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Please follow us. You know how to follow us. Give us a review. Maybe comment on the videos that the counteract some of those idiots that are out there. Yep.
And one more thing I'd like to, see.
God's sakes, he's talked all show. Go
Larry and Victor and keep sending
Victor.
us stuff like that.
Victor.
Jesus.
The hell's Victor?
Sorry, Mitch.
I get a lot of stuff. James will send me stuff. My brother-in-law Billy will send me stuff like through Messenger and all that.
Yeah,
I'd like to get to them all.
Yeah, sorry, Mitch, but yeah, please send
another
us
friend
stuff.
I got, David. He'll send stuff, but yeah, keep sending
because we want to read that because we're not always right. We don't. There's things that we report on what we see.
You know who'd be a good producer and perhaps is maybe Mitch. Maybe Mitch.
Well, he listens.
Think about it. The pay is absolutely terrible. Think about it. Anyways, thank you. Yeah, Jim's right. Thank you for sending that. Keep sending it. Folks, we will see you next Tuesday, which is not the acronym I was trying to make it out to be. Have a good weekend, everybody. Everybody gets it. Jim, have a great weekend. Y'all, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
You've been listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim. Remember, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, and it helps others find us when searching for podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Just search for Two Guys, One Coup. That's the number 2 Guys and the number 1 Coup, C-O-U-P. Thanks again for listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast, and God bless the United States of America.